Hi, thanks, and welcome back. The question for today is, are you talking too much? And truly, you're the only person that can answer that question, and I hope you'll answer it honestly. I used to be a chatty Cathy. Now I consider myself much more of a reserved Rita, and with good reason. Loose lips sink ships. I'll say that again. Loose lips sink ships. There are so many examples out there of people who have sank their own ship to the bottom of the ocean with their own mouths. I would name names, but I don't want to talk too much. Bottom line, if you are talking too much, you're hurting yourself both personally and professionally. In this video, I want to go over 5 different areas where people tend to talk too much, with the hope that you would guard against these areas and go on to live a happy life. So number 1, when you're angry. Number 2, oversharing when you're just so happy and you're excited. So too much information. Number 3, providing way too much information at work in a professional setting. Number 4, gossiping and the desire to reveal secrets. Number 5, talking too much when you find yourself in a valley, a low point of life. So I'm going to go over each of these items, going to share some examples, and also provide some strategies on dealing with these areas. Number 1, when you're angry. This is a big one for most of us. I had a gentleman to reach out to me a few months ago. He had been fired from his job of 15 years because he called his boss a rude name. Let's just say that that name rhymes with grass. Okay, you use your own imagination. Long and short of it, when you lose control and lead with your mouth, lead with your emotion, it's like throwing red paint on white carpet. You can scrub it, it looks bad, you'll look at it with regret and you'll feel so sorry. But once it's out there, you can't do anything to erase it. Even if you cover it with a rug, it's still there. And the problem with the world that we live in today, once you lose control of your mouth and you lead with emotion, there's no question about it. You'll be sorry. You'll ask for forgiveness, maybe even filled with regret. But because of the times we're living in, that true forgiveness and second chances are few and far between. So the best way to guard against the fallout that can happen when you speak out of anger and emotion is to gain control of yourself and eliminate those situations altogether. Look, when we become angry, there's 3 possible scenarios. You've got fight, you've got flight, or you can freeze. I am recommending, as you're starting to do this work and really get in control of your emotions, before you say something that you're going to regret and talk too much, walk away from the situation. Cut it off for that space and time. And I know you're saying, Sheila, I can't do that. It's just not feasible. Yes, it is. If you've got 2 feet, you get up, you walk away. I'd much rather you do that than to have to come back and apologize and have to try to explain for something that you really can't undo. But if you do walk away, you always have the option of coming back and saying, hey, I walked out of respect. I didn't want to say something that I would be sorry for later. So the first course of action is to freeze, gain control of your thought process, your mind, get out of there, cool off, come on back. Because once you start thinking 5 steps ahead, you know that 9 times out of 10, you say this stuff, you're angry, you're upset, you can't put the genie back into the bottle. Number 2, over sharing in times of joy, elation, happiness. The world is just full of wonder and cheer for you, and you want people to join you in that. But I'm going to give you a little bit of the flip side of human psychology. Had a client, she had hit a massive jackpot in Vegas. It wasn't in the millions, but it was certainly enough to pay off her home, to do some travel, something she had never done in her lifetime. So what do you think she did first? She went out and was so excited. She started calling her friends and family, flew home and just overjoyed. And by the time she showed up to talk to me, she was in a full-blown depression. Why? Because the people that she thought would be so excited and so happy for her had completely shut down. And she was very, very saddened. So back to that flip side of human nature, and you wonder, why is it that people, I'm happy, they can't share in my joy, they're not showing up for me? I'll tell you why. Because 9 times out of 10, this is the average person. There are above average people out there, but we're talking average now. When you share that good news, human beings do what they do. Most of us are constantly in a state of comparing and contrasting. So when you share your good news, that's not necessarily how it lands with them. And one of my favorite quote sums it up best. It's not that people don't want to see you happy and successful. It's that people don't want to see you happier and more successful than them in most cases. And I'll tell you something, when you do find those people in life who can genuinely connect with your joy from a heartfelt place, there's a name for those people. They're called angels. And when you meet them, hang on to them for dear life. I've got a few of those people in my corner, and I thank God for them every day. But back to my client from Vegas, I'll tell you what she should have done. What she should have done after she hit that jackpot in Vegas was gone up to her room, ordered a decadent platter of great desserts, did the happy dance, joyful, 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 got back on a plane, found her lovely angels and had a great dinner and celebrated her victory. Joy in this day and age is the most precious commodity. You think it's money, it's not. When you find your pockets of joy, that's the same as stumbling across silver or gold. And when those moments and spaces and time happen for you and your life, what I'd like you to imagine is that there is just this massive, gorgeous, white bubble of light around you, and it's so precious. And I want you to be very selective with who you share that bubble of joy with. Why do I say that? Because I don't want you to get your bubble burst. I've had mine burst a few times. I don't want that to happen to you. I want you to hold your joy and hold your moments because they are so very precious. And side note, one of the best things you can do for yourself is to learn to enjoy those times internally. It's wonderful when people can step up and share that with us, but one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself is to learn how to hold your own joy. Moving on to number 3, providing too much information at work. TMI at work is not a good thing. The operative word here is work. When you're in the work setting, you're not at a picnic, you're not at a parade. It's lovely if work is pleasant for you, but I'm going to go back to the operative word being work. When you let your inhibitions go and you start talking too much at work and revealing information that's much more appropriate for the personal domain, it changes the way your co-workers or your superiors see you. It changes the way they see you. And some of you may say, well, Sheila, I really don't give a rip about how they see me. Well, do you care about the ability to do your job effectively? Because when you are diminished in your role as a professional, you're losing credibility. And we don't want to see that happen. Case in point, knew of a young lady who was going back and forth with emails in her office in exchange with a colleague about a very messy divorce. So what does she do in between a chain of emails? She accidentally hits reply all. So every single district manager on the in the eastern region read about blow by blow the details of her divorce, the affair that her husband was having. So I'll ask you, when she was at those regional meetings presenting for hundreds of these individuals, do you think that they were really listening and wanting to hear about the dividends as they relate to the company? Or do you think they were looking at her with a big question mark behind her? Again, TMI at work, the solution there is to really sit down with yourself and ask, have I crossed lines? Am I crossing boundaries? If you are, be honest with yourself. Truth is your friend. Tighten it up. Rein it back in. Keep yourself on a short leash and keep that in check. Again, workplace operative word being for work. Keep your professional integrity and your credibility intact. Number 4, gossiping and feeling the need to reveal secrets. Well, let's talk about gossip for a second. My grandfather always told me, watch out for the gossip, because that same person who's sitting and gossiping about you can deal the dish on you as well. That's important to remember, and that helps to keep the gossip end of talking too much in check. And a lot of that information is distorted anyway by the time it reaches your ears. The second piece of this equation is the need to reveal secrets. Let's think about that for a moment. You have a burning desire. There's something on your mind. You have the need to get it off your chest and reveal a secret, and you do it. And you find out a couple months later, 5 or 6 other people know your secret. You're not in a position to be angry at anyone at that point. You know why? Because you couldn't keep your own secret. If you couldn't keep it, how could you expect these other folks to do it? So I am for self exploration, working through, processing things that are bothering you. But I will tell you this, the story I shared is just a cautionary tale. When you are revealing sensitive, delicate information, you want to make sure that that lands in a place where it's going to be secured. Other than that, there's no guarantee. What are the secure places? I say, if you got some big secrets that you don't want to get out, you either make sure you're sharing it with a truly trusted confidant, or your backup options are a darn good therapist or your journal. The therapist, if they reveal your secrets, that's illegal. As far as your journal goes, you can burn that. So there you go on that note. And number 5, talking too much when you find yourself in a valley of life. And what are the different valleys of life? Valleys of life could be a relationship has gone belly up, a divorce, a foreclosure, financial issues, illness, what have you, anything that has knocked the wind out of your sails and maybe put you on a course for depression, anxiety, what have you. Sometimes when we're in those valleys of life, we don't talk too much or overshare purposely. We talk too much because we're looking for comfort. We want someone to soothe us, maybe find some answers. I know I have absolutely been there. But what I will say to you, if you are talking to the wrong people, what happens is you are looked at as hey, she's a negative Nelly, You could be looked at as needy. You could be looked at just as a drag, and people will pull back and pull away from you. Maybe at a time where you need their love and help and support the most, it won't be there. So what is the solution? The solution, again, is to make sure that you're having those conversations with someone who's actually genuinely interested in listening, providing support, lending a hand. You can turn to a professional community for that, either a therapist or a support group, what have you, your church. I mean, there are organizations and entities set aside specifically for times when you're in need. I say that because, again, you knock on the wrong door. I don't want it to get slammed shut. I hope that the tips and the information I've shared in this video, I hope you find them helpful. Honestly, I could go on and on, but I don't want to talk too much. So I'll see you next time. Thanks.